definitely going to be going on the Facebook page.
Oh, for sure.
I don't know what it is about Scott Stapp.
I know what it is about Scott Stapp. Is that he knew that the only way he could sell his voice and his singing was if people listened to his music ironically. That's a little mean. That's a little mean.
People didn't listen to it ironically starting out.
No. But you and I just listened to that song 4 times in a row because it was hilarious.
The name of that song is The Marlins Will Soar.
So is that something that
that was something their PR team put together?
Like the Marlins PR team?
I'm assuming so. Either that or that was his brainchild, and he decided that was a good idea.
Either way, that's really...
That's not good.
It was just a bad idea regardless of who had it.
It's not good.
I mean... I like to believe, though, that Scott Stapp approached the Marlins with it.
Yeah, I want to think that, too.
You know?
He's like, hey, I got an idea.
I love your baseball team. What are the opening lyrics? He says, let's play bonus game day.
We won't strike out space, his double pair.
Before we listened to it, before Wesley showed me that, Jim, he said it sounded like something off of South Park. And I thought to myself, surely it can't be that bad. And I don't know if South Park could come up with anything that fucking funny.
It sounds just like something.
It really does.
If they wrote a Scott Stapp character.
Yeah, like a parody character.
Like a parody character about him singing a baseball song.
Yeah.
That's what they would have wrote.
Yeah.
The only thing I can think was the Marlins were like, oh, we'll get Matt and Trey to write the lyrics to this song.
For Scott Stapp.
Yeah.
Wesley was so excited to show me that. It was like the first thing he said when he came in the door. It was like, I got something with Scott Stapp I got to show you. He was like feverishly getting his phone out.
Well, and I also sent you the Scott Stapp
singing the national anthem.
Singing the national anthem.
Oy,
which, boy, him not being in a booth somewhere, them able to clean that up is not good.
No. I mean, I've definitely heard worse national anthems, like
like Rosie O'Donnell.
Did Rosie O'Donnell sing?
No, I'm sorry, not Rosie O'Donnell. Roseanne Barr.
Roseanne Barr.
Remember, she's like sang it like grabbed her crotch and spit on the ground.
Ooh, she did.
Yeah.
Ugh. I'm trying to think who Roseanne Barr. Who is that?
From the show Roseanne.
She had a show called Roseanne, but I can't put a face to that name. It's funny that you mixed her up with Rosie O'Donnell though. No, I was thinking the worst one was probably Fergie.
Oh, that one was bad.
Yeah, that was one of the Super Bowls, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that one was really bad.
Yeah. She she did the same thing that like everybody does when they sing the national anthem.
They try to do the runs and everything.
Yeah, well, they try to do that. They try to put like this little soulful twist on it, and it doesn't. Okay, first of all, the national anthem used to be a British drinking song. I mean, lyrically, it was obviously different.
No.
But, like, the way it's sang and everything, it was a drinking song that drunk British men would sing in a pub.
Like a sea shanty.
I mean, it might as well be. So it's not like one of those things that you can, like, twist into, like, this, soul-filled thing. You can't really put a ton of emotion into it.
You can't put my humps in there.
No. But, yeah, Scott Stapp...
really murdered it.
Yeah, I mean, you sent me that, and I was like, I can already hear this.
One of the things I noticed is that there's so many Oakleys in that video.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody.
It was a NASCAR event.
Yeah, it was like a 2004 NASCAR event.
Oakley's was just fucking untouchable. They had their day in the sun, man. What are those ones that all the rednecks wear them now? What are they called? They're like they're really big. They go from like top of your brow line like down to your cheeks.
Oh, and they like flare out on the ends.
They like flare. Well, they flare out on the ends, but they go all the way like around. They're like it's like a big visor, and they're like pearlescent colored.
Yeah.
What are those called?
Like...
Pit vipers.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about. Yeah, because they used to have them like as kids and nobody wore them because they were fucking
stupid,
and you get made fun of if you wore them.
And they still are stupid. Did we ever talk? I don't know if I ever brought this up on the podcast before, but did I ever talk about ranch hand?
Mm-mm.
So there was this kid at school. We all called him Ranch Hand because you're never going to believe this. He looked like a ranch hand, and he spoke like a ranch hand. He would like say things like, giddy up and things like that. He was like a fucking character. You might know who I'm talking. You probably saw the guy a couple times, but he would wear like the
blonde hair.
Yes, he would wear like the jeans, the real tight jeans, and he would like have like a big belt buckle on, and he would always wear. Like
he was a year younger than me.
Yeah. He would wear
I
like
know who you're talking about.
A flannel shirt tucked in.
He used to not always dress like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So he had like a transformation.
I think he had like an aha moment. Like nobody
this
really
is who I am.
Nobody really knows who I am, but if I'm the cowboy guy.
Like old kid from Invader Zim.
Which is but like people have like people that don't live in the South, like the deep South where we live, seem to be confused about people who live in the South and then cowboys.
Yeah, that's not...
Because we are two totally different people.
Yeah, cowboys is like a Western thing.
Yeah, that's like
Montana.
Yeah,
That's like...
That's on the opposite side of the country.
It's like 2,500 miles away from here. It's like anybody that talks funny is, that's a Southerner.
Yeah.
Well, so when I was in marching band, we were doing an event at the V-Plex, and I don't remember exactly what it was. It might have been like a fireworks thing, but we were me and two other people were trying to put up one of those big tents,
mm-hmm.
and we were kind of struggling with the thing. Like it was just like really convoluted, and here comes fucking Ranch Hand out of nowhere. I don't know what his like affiliation was. Or why he was even there.
Yeah.
He comes walking over. He no shit has his hands on his belt buckle like he's the fucking sheriff. And I'm just looking at him. I was like, he's going to come over here and say something really stupid.
Did he say howdy?
He came over and said, how many city slickers does it take to put up a tent? And we all just kind of looked at him like, city slickers? Yeah. What the hell are you talking about?
It's like, dude, how many trailer parks do you see around here?
Yeah, also, we live in the same city, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
dumbass.
The fuck are you talking about? Also, I can't help but notice that you have no dirt on you anywhere.
Yeah, interesting.
How about that? What made it so bad was that the two people that I was working with were girls. And like when you ever said something real stupid around a girl, and they give you that look that only like a girl can give, and it stabs you in the heart. You know what I mean? I like felt like secondhand whatever that is.
Yeah.
Like I felt that like transferred to me. I was like, I was like, I'm not even interested in these girls in that. Like, wow.
Yeah.
Yikes, guy. But yeah, we had a lot of characters. He was definitely one of them. We had a guy, and of course I don't want to give away a ton of names, but we had a guy that was very much into, I guess you could say, like Dungeons and Dragons and high fantasy. He was an odd fellow. I never had any quarrel with him.
As they tend to be.
And I don't know if I'm mixing this memory with like your memory, but one of us had him sit down at our lunch table and say, "Have you ever wanted to take a big bite out of a dragon with a spoon?"
That was you. That wasn't me.
Okay, that might have been me.
He certainly wouldn't. He certainly didn't come sit at my table. I told him to get the fuck up.
What an interesting fellow.
Yes, it was the same. Without giving away too many more details, the same person that used to eat a lot of mustard.
Yeah, he used to have mustard crusted under his fingernails.
Ugh.
Yeah, I remember that.
You know, why is it that you think that people that like tend to be like into like high fantasy are that person?
It's always that person.
It's always that person.
Maybe they like staked their claim early on, and like, so they were the type of person who they grabbed that niche and made it their own.
Yeah.
So now the only those people
They're like gatekeeping.
Are going to be like the ones that are like attracted to that.
Yeah. It always was very strange because like I enjoy The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. I would assume that that's high fantasy.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. I mean, it kind of stems from that, if I'm not mistaken.
It's like there's an author that I enjoy reading. His name's Brian Weeks. He's really good. He writes high fantasy, and like I like his stuff. But I'm certainly not. I don't believe that I'm that person.
Yeah.
It's like I enjoy lifting weights and like doing physical activity.
Well, you didn't make it your personality.
Yeah, and I didn't make it my personality. Like I didn't try to make my personality like, oh, I'm the weird guy. This is gonna go run around saying weird shit all the time.
Yeah, mustard under my fingernails. Well, you know, it's annoying when anybody like makes one thing their whole thing. It was like no matter what time of day you would approach this person, they'd be like good morrow to you. There's a dragon about, and it's just like, it's like, can you move? I need to get to my locker. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
God, high school was such a fucking awful mess.
I honestly, middle school was worse for me.
Oh, I hated middle school.
Middle school was far worse for me. I think really or truly the only thing that made a high school not so bad was probably being in a marching band. And I think it wasn't the fact that it was marching band, it was just being part of a collaborative effort.
Right.
So I think, that probably rings true for anybody who was like part of a sports team or any kind of like, organization.
Right. Well, if you don't have an organization, the kids that were not part of an organization then fell into cliques.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You become part of an organization in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
I mean, there's outliers.
Yeah.
That like always like, fuck, dude, I don't know.
Well, I mean,
like we're weird, and we really don't want you. Like part of this.
Well, it's like with marching band, it was. Lots of different types of people in marching band.
Yeah.
So, and, when there's nothing that really builds camaraderie quite like struggle.
Physical pain.
Like physical pain.
Yeah.
Like when we were all standing out there on that fucking asphalt in the middle of summer in band camp, and it's just the most god-awful, horrible fucking thing ever.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're a nerd, or if you're a jock, or if you're like a preppy girl.
You're all going through you're all having the same experience.
Yeah, you're all in the suck.
Yeah.
So it brings you all together. So I made a lot of friends that I probably otherwise wouldn't have ever befriended.
Right.
Just because of the clash of personality. We wouldn't be able to get past that. But being a part of something with these people, I think, number one, probably helped me develop like social skills.
Right.
That carried on later in life. Because I'm still kind of that way. I can kind of get along with whoever.
Yeah.
Without having to be like fake or anything like that.
No.
Now, I mean, there's obviously people that you're just not going to get along with.
Right. Yeah.
Some people you're just not. You're just going to clash.
Right. Yeah. I guess I feel the same way. Like high school wasn't really. I wasn't really part of a clique or anything, or like had like I mean, I had friends that I hung out with or whatever, but it wasn't. It was just kind of whatever.
Yeah.
It didn't really matter.
Yeah.
Like as long as you're cool to hang out with, I really don't care who you are.
Yeah.
Like it didn't really matter at the time.
Yeah, but middle school was so different. Middle school was, I think, so bad because it's such a transitionary period between, being a child and being
literally a child
and being a teenager.
Right.
And when your hormones are never, never as out of fucking whack as they are between 6th and 8th grade.
No.
Whatever that age range is. What is that? What is that like?
7th was a hard grade.
Isn't it like 10 to 13 years old, something like that? That's rough.
It was like 11 to 13, 14. 11 to 14. Yeah.
Everything is the biggest fucking deal.
Yeah.
Every single thing that happens. Yeah. Every day feels like the last day.
Well, I just remember, like, I had acne, like, all over the place. It was awful.
I mean, you're like, you and your friends you're starting to, like, hear things like, so-and-so jerked off. And
you're like, what?
What the fuck? What does that mean? Yeah. Your friends like, oh, you don't know what jerking off means?
And they're like, you're such a fucking virgin. You're like, well, I can't be that.
Oh, dear God, no. I have to get this off of me.
I can be known as the virgin guy.
In middle school. Look, on the off chance that there's any middle schoolers listening to this, number one, stop.
Yes, stop.
But since you're here, let me just impart some wisdom on you. Nothing matters.
No.
Nothing matters until you become... I don't even know at what point it matters. When you have somebody that relies on you, I think that's when things start mattering.
And when you get to the point where they can throw you in prison, that's when things start mattering.
Yeah, then you got to be real careful. Yeah. You can't just walk up to people talking about people jerking off. It doesn't carry the same social status.
Ugh. Yeah, that was such a shitty fucking transition.
Yeah.
I don't wish that on anybody. It's like I see my daughter now, and I'm like, man, that's really gonna suck for you.
You got no idea what's coming.
You got no idea what's coming for you.
And I don't even know how to help you with it.
Yeah, exactly. Like I went through something totally different than you're getting ready to go through here, like within the next 10 years.
Yeah.
And it's gonna suck. It's going to be bad.
It's just going to be bad.
Yep, you're going to hate me.
You're going to hate me, yourself, everyone, right? You're just going to be so full of hatred. And it's all because of your brain.
Yeah.
That 2-pound lumpy, wrinkly meat bag in your head is just going to ruin your fucking life for about 4 years straight. But, I mean, life on the whole is kind of like that, isn't it? I mean, look, when you think back on, like, things that were, like, the biggest thing, like,
oh, yeah.
Or were such a focus or an issue, and then 10 years down the line, right. 5 years, like 2 years down the line, it didn't fucking matter.
It'd be with middle school, it's like it's next week, like it's not.
Yeah, no big deal whatsoever.
Right, like there was a fight in the lunchroom, like nobody cares anymore.
Yeah. Another weird thing about middle school is seeing the opposite sex that you're attracted to start to develop.
Yeah, it is strange.
It's weird. It's weird because nobody's talking about it.
Yeah.
And you're like, it's like if you ever like walk to your dog like down the road and it sees something that it's interested in, and it's like something instinctually is like pulling it towards it, and you're like yanking it the other way. Like we're just gonna pretend like that's not even there. And then like of course you are developing,
right?
You just don't know what the fuck's going on,
right?
And maybe one of the worst things about it is the fact that nobody's talking about it.
Right.
But you can't get all these kids together and start talking about tits.
Yeah, exactly. No. It's like, it's like that, and then like you're constantly having to like walk around like with your hands in your pants. Your hands are like out here. Either that or you walk around with a book.
Yep, because you got boner.
Yep. Or like
for no reason.
Yeah, for no reason at all.
Absolutely no reason.
Like it'd be like during the late part of school, like going into summer, and like all the boys are wearing hoodies.
Yeah.
Because you can like pull the hoodie down.
Yeah.
That way, God forbid.
Yeah.
God fucking forbid somebody see that.
Because that's who you are for the rest of your life. Anytime your name comes up in conversation, that's the kid who had the boner in math class. Guy's like a father of two.
Yeah.
Owns his own business.
Yeah, that's a boner kid.
Okay, so maybe some of that shit does matter. But you can't walk around with boners all the time. There's never a point in your life where that's not acceptable. Or where that is acceptable.
Oh, God.
Yeah, it always happened to me right before class ended.
Yeah, what a wild age.
Yeah.
And I think it was wild for me, too, because nu metal was big then. And nu metal was wild itself.
Yeah, I mean, that was the hormone in music form.
Yeah, exactly.
So it just amplified.
Yeah, it was angsty.
Everything
it was
worse.
Angsty 14-year-old.
Yeah. Since we're on the topic of nu metal, so you and I both have watched the Woodstock 99 documentary.
Oh, did you watch it?
We watched it last night.
Did you watch all 3 episodes?
Yeah.
It was fucking wild.
First of all, that was a great docuseries.
I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, that was really well put together.
Yeah.
Like just from from a documentary standpoint, it was really, really good. But that it's called Trainwreck, and there's no more apt a name.
Oh, yeah.
For
absolutely.
what transpired over those 3 days.
It was wild.
I mean, everybody remembers Fire Festival, but it never even got off the ground.
Right.
This was like, I don't even fucking have any. No, but I don't think anybody knew.
No.
What was going to happen. I mean, so the issue with the people that were putting it on, I can't remember their names. Joe Scher was the main promoter.
Was he the original Woodstock guy?
No, that was Michael something.
Right. Michael Lear.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Joe Scher was like that older guy.
The corporate dude.
The corporate guy.
Right.
So, Woodstock 69, of course, was like...
And I also did not like the way that they framed Woodstock 69 because that's not an apt representation of what actually happened at Woodstock 69.
All I know about Woodstock 69 is that there was a lot of people there and Jimi Hendrix.
There was a lot of people that were there. They ran out of food. They price gouged all the food. They had to have the National Guard bring in food for people there. And then there was like a bunch. Of course, there was lots of drugs. It was the hippies in the 60s or whatever. And there was also like a lot of like sexual assaults that happened there that never gets talked about. Like so
they really prop it up as like this.
It's
beacon of
like peace and love.
Community.
Right. That's not. I'm sure
it might have been that for about 4 hours.
Right. I'm sure I would say for the most part that's how it was. But then again, for Woodstock 99, for the most part, people were not lighting things on fire
until that last.
Right, but we'll get to that. So let's kind of continue to go through.
So I think one of the biggest differences between 69 and 99
was the lineup.
Well, yeah. Well, the lineup was definitely part of the problem. But also, this is a quarter of a million. So a quarter of a million people high on 60s drugs is a lot different than a quarter of a million people high on 90s drugs, late 90s drugs. That's a wildly different group of people. But so take a look at what the cultural mindset was at the time. Everything was anti-establishment, anarchist. It wasn't about peace and love. Because you think about the 60s going on, there was a war going on.
Right, that was during Vietnam.
That was one of the worst fucking things ever going on the other side of the world. So the culture among the young people was peace, love, and community.
Right.
And for the most part, they really represented that.
Right. They attempted to represent that ideal.
They attempted to represent that ideal. So when 99 comes around, this is 2 years before the events of 9/11. Right. So we're in that world, basically.
Right.
Like I said, everything's very anti-establishment.
A lot of people are like very disenfranchised with like the whole like corporate
with the status
quo
of everything.
The status quo.
Yeah.
And like we were saying, like you can see that just in the bands that they booked.
Yes.
Like the lineup that they booked.
Yes. So we had mentioned before, everything in the 90s was very renegade.
Yeah.
The
90s was a fucking wild time.
From music to fucking cereal commercials. It was all fuck you.
Wild.
So you got
everything was like extreme. Like,
yeah. Just
like,
fucking amped
like, do you
up.
remember when Surge came out?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like this green sludge in a can.
Yeah, it's like 99% sugar.
Right.
1% caffeine. There's not even any water in it.
Right. And then like the whole thing is they like slap the Surge thing like on the screen, like drink Surge. Like that's how everything was presented then.
Yeah. So you've already got like 250,000 people coming to these grounds. There was an abandoned
Air Force Base.
So
which is totally different than Woodstock 69,
which took place on like a pasture.
Right.
Yeah. So we've got like already like these towering monoliths of institutionalized authority.
Right.
This is where our
right.
Thing's
We're gonna hold
take
this on
place.
the tarmac.
On the tarmac, yeah. There's so many different things that really contributed to this, but the lineup. The people in charge of putting that lineup together had no fucking idea what they were doing.
The craziest thing to me was the very first person
was James goddamn Brown.
It was James Brown. I was like, it's like all these like white people out in this crowd, and then you bring James Brown up, as in like knowing that, and then like after him was like, who was it? It was fucking
Sheryl Crow.
Sheryl Crow.
Show us your tit, Sheryl.
Oh god.
James Brown, I don't know, like when you look at like the lineup and you're like,
it was all over the
place.
All over the fucking place.
James Brown, Sheryl Crow, fucking Willie Nelson.
Yeah, Willie Nelson was there. Jewel
was there. Why the fuck was Jewel there? You know, fuck it. Bring Seal out.
Yeah.
You know, get Michael Bolton and his fucking jet engine lungs down there. DMX was there?
DMX, they didn't cover that part, but DMX performed there. I went and looked at the lineup set.
Jesus Christ.
DMX was there.
So, music, people are very influenced by music.
Oh, yeah.
Music is a very emotional thing, and it triggers an emotion in you.
Right.
When you listen to a sad song, you feel a bit melancholy. You listen to a happy song, you feel a little bit light in spirit. But when you listen to fucking Break Stuff by Limp Bizkit, and you're an emotionally charged 15-year-old.
Right. So, but we have to get to the point where Break Stuff was played by Limp Bizkit. So, during the first day, like...
When did KoRn perform?
The first night.
That was the first night?
So, when they first walked into the venue, they took everything from them. So, they're like, you can't have water. You can't have all this outside shit. Now you can go in.
Yeah.
It's like, so they all went in, and people started finding out it was like $4
for a bottle of water.
For a bottle of water.
In 1999. So that's like, what, $8-9 now? Maybe more.
Right. So everybody's like, what the fuck? Yeah. And then like a little salad's like $8.
Yeah.
All right. So everybody's like, what the fuck is going on? And I think at that point, everybody's like, well, fuck it. We're here for the music. Yeah. Like, we'll eat a little bit of whatever, and then we'll go on about our business. So they start the like playing the music and everything. And like they get like some shots of the crowd, and it's fucking wild looking. There are so many people there.
Just over the horizon.
Just over the horizon. Yeah. It's wild. When KoRn came out, and I sent you the video like the day before y'all watched it. And like I think they opened up with Blind. Yeah. Right. It's like
Blind builds a lot of tension.
Yeah,
and there already was enough of.
They built more tension, I think, when they saw that crowd, and they were like, "Whoa, what the fuck?" Yeah,
Jonathan Davis himself said that when he walked out on the stage and he saw all those people, he like had a moment where he's like, "Oh God, no! What have I walked into?"
Right. And there's a like a moment where like they're building the tension for like the initial riff. And when he says, "Are you ready?"
That song comes in so hard, dude.
And then it hits.
Yeah.
And then they pan out over the crowd. Like, I was like, whoa.
It looked like they may have shifted the Earth's rotation a little bit.
Right. Like they talk about a crowd being like liquid.
Yeah.
Like it looked like waves in the ocean.
Yeah.
It was insane.
It was the most bizarre looking thing I've ever seen.
Right.
They're all jumping up and down in unison and like
right.
You know,
I could feel the energy coming out of the TV.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa.
I was like reclining on the couch, and even I was getting like watching that. I could imagine standing in the middle of all that.
Right.
And, like I said, that song comes in, when that main riff hits, it hits hard.
Yeah.
And, that's just amplified by all the people out there being as emotionally charged as they are.
And, like, when people think of, like, KoRn today is not what KoRn was in 1999. KoRn in 1999, like, they had to retire the songs from MTV.
Yeah.
Because that's all that was getting played all day long was KoRn. Like, they were outperforming, like, Britney Spears, Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, like, all the other new metal bands. All anybody wanted to listen to was KoRn.
Yeah.
That was it.
Well, they were so, KoRn even themselves were very anti-establishment.
Yeah.
We're talking about bands like Rage Against the Machine, who in the name is anti-establishment. Right. It was kind of, yeah, so you sent me that video, and I was watching that crowd just fucking lose their goddamn minds as soon as that main riff came in. I said, at least 20 people in that crowd nutted when that main riff came.
Well, and I could only, like, I remember going to Welcome to Rockville, and like that, I would say that that's a fairly sized music festival for like hard rock, metal, that kind of stuff.
There's probably 50, 60,000 people.
Right. There was a lot of, near this, they had like 3 different stages, right? So they had like 4. So they had the 2 main stages, and then you had one on the other side where like Fuel was playing.
Yeah.
And they had the other one, which was sort of like where the newer bands and stuff were playing, right?
Kind of near the entrance.
Well,
no, Trivium was playing over there. Remember, because we were walking down at the fairgrounds and they were playing,
So, but the main one was over there on the right, where we went and saw Bring Me the Horizon.
Like right by the bay.
Right, so we went and saw like Asking Alexandria and Bring Me the Horizon, and I think
6 a.m.
6 a.m. was over there, right? And I remember the Bring Me the Horizon set, and there was like a lot of energy there.
Yeah.
But I could only imagine being back in 1999 when that main riff hits and you're standing like maybe 20 yards away from the stage.
Yeah.
Like, I guarantee, like, you're just going to go whichever way the crowd wants to go. There's nothing you can do.
Yeah, you can't fight against this.
No.
I mean, I remember standing in the crowd when Bring Me the Horizon played Spirit. They opened with Spirit.
Yeah.
And when that main riff came in and they shut off the smoke and the lights and everything, that crowd fucking lost their goddamn minds.
Yeah. But that was only like maybe 40,000 people.
Yeah.
Right there. You're talking about 200.
Yeah, 250,000 people.
50,000 people.
Yeah.
Recorded people that are there.
Yeah.
This isn't people that have snuck into the venue.
Which I'm sure there were plenty
Which I'm sure there were more
yeah.
of, right? And people, like...
It may have been 1 million people. When you look at that crowd, I mean, it's...
Right. And I would say for the most part, when we were there at Welcome to Rockville, there wasn't like a whole, like... And I might be wrong about this, but it seemed like everybody was fairly sober other than, like, drinking the beer. There was some people smoking weed and everything.
Well, you remember how fucking hard it was to get drunk? You were double-fisting beer every single time you went to the vendor, but it was so hot.
It was so hot.
And you were sweating so much that it didn't matter.
Yeah, and they were talking about the Woodstock documentary. They were saying how hot it was.
Yeah.
Like, it was scalding hot.
Yeah, they're like, it was like 100 degrees that one day, and fucking Kid Rock came out wearing a fur coat.
Right. So, like, just to kind of put it in perspective, like, I think when people don't, it was like, it's hard to put into perspective probably what that atmosphere was like during that set. Because to me, that was more, like, that set was different than the Limp Bizkit set. Because people they were pissed during the Limp Bizkit set.
They were pissed because they've been getting fucked by the venue.
Right, but during the KoRn set, like, people were actively there for the music. Everybody's like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Like, it's KoRn.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be a fucking amazing night.
Well, that one guy was on the staff, and he was like, he brought it up. He was like, we need to really consider, like, this lineup that we've got.
And they pretty much, he was like, has anybody, like, listened to some of the people that you've booked?
Yeah. They're like, go fuck yourself. Yeah. I'm trying to make money here.
Right.
Yeah. So KoRn, you know, the crowd, of course, got crazy for KoRn's music and everything, and KoRn put on a hell of a show, and it was relatively tame.
Right.
That first night.
I did find it funny that the dude from Bush still seemed super upset about it.
Yeah. He did did seem a little butthurt about that.
Yeah, he seemed super butthurt.
Yeah, so fucking Bush had to come on after KoRn after KoRn just did that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Basically, like, you know, fucked
Brought
his
the
wife.
fucking house down.
It was like KoRn fucked his wife. It was like, there you go.
Yeah.
Oh, she's all yours. So Bush had to come out there, and Bush is not as aggressive as
Bush is like indie rock.
Yeah.
Like I like Bush.
You like Glycerin?
Like Glycerin.
Glycerin.
Like, yeah, that's a decent song. That's like a butt rock song.
It is a bit butt rock.
Yeah, it's like a butt rock song, you know. But like they ended with the wrong person.
Yeah.
Like Bush should have played first, and then it should have been KoRn to end the night.
Well, because the people putting together the lineup had no fucking
Well, they had
idea
no
what
fucking clue what was going on. But anyway, so they ended that. Like Bush did his set, and from what I understand, it seemed like it went all right.
Yeah.
And then they had a fucking rave.
Yeah.
And they were like, people were fucking dropping ecstasy. Like
doing what you do at a rave.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And he said there was like one of the wildest things that the dude was like, yeah, there was just like people with their hands on the wall. There's like a line of people behind them. Like there's people over there just fucking in the corner.
Just fucking.
Just fucking, you know?
Just hedonism. As true as it gets.
And so like, everybody like goes. I'm assuming almost everybody went to that rave. I'm assuming nobody's
the
like
whole crowd just migrated.
Yeah,
over
I'm
there.
assuming like very hardly any of those people were like, man, you know, I'm gonna call it a night. I'm gonna go back to the tent.
Yeah.
And so like they get done with that, and then they like show the next morning. There's fucking trash everywhere.
I know you forgot the truck driving into the middle of the rave.
That was the second.
Oh,
night.
was that the second?
That was the second.
Okay,
night.
my bad.
So they left, and they went. Like I guess everybody got like a couple hours of sleep or whatever.
Yeah.
And then like
the daylight came.
And then daylight came, and there was fucking trash everywhere.
Yeah.
And like nobody had come to clean the fucking porta potties out, and they're fucking disgusting.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, like 500 porta potties. Just packed to the max.
Right, with shit and piss.
Like in the floor.
Like they showed the dude open it up. There's just turds everywhere on the floor.
It was not even a porta potty anymore. It was just a shit closet.
Right. Could you imagine being like some person just like, fuck it. Just like
you drop trout and just blow your ass all over the fucking floor like a goddamn animal. Why not? Everybody else is doing it.
So, like, I don't know who really played. I think it might have been Jewel.
I think Jewel came on second.
Yeah, Jewel came on second day, right? And they had some other dude, some other dude played the national anthem, and I don't remember who it was.
I don't remember that guy. I don't remember that.
Yeah, but like at that point, like you saw them like throwing like the bottles and shit like up on they everywhere.
Yeah.
It was fucking insanity.
Yeah.
And then so like there's just plastic bottles like all over the fucking stage, and he's like breaking the guitar and shit.
Mm-hmm.
And Jewel comes up and like does her set, and I'll let you tell what happened during the Limp Bizkit set.
Did Limp Bizkit come on after Jewel? Is that what it was? I don't really remember. But the point is that Limp Bizkit is now on the stage.
Right. So, and if you know anything about Limp Bizkit,
they really kind of painted him as kind of like this champion of the people, which to those people he may very well have been. And so he has a song called "Break Stuff." I'm sure that most of us have heard.
If you were born like in the 90s at any point, you've heard this song before.
And it's all about, it's about just fucking being an animal and just like breaking things and just.
I hope you packed a chainsaw.
Yeah, I'm skin your ass raw. And I just don't take Fred Durst seriously because he doesn't sound like...
He's a horrible vocalist.
Well, I mean, he just doesn't sound like what his lyrics are.
No.
Like, it doesn't... If you were, like, reading his lyrics and imagining in your head what the person sounds like singing those lyrics, it's not fucking Fred Durst.
And I'm going to get up and do this because I'm going to feel like a real fucking goober when I do it. But what he was doing, I'm gonna like.
Are you talking about that little like hip dance he was doing?
It's like going. Like
every time
it was like very like 90s hand movement.
Yeah.
Like
every time he said "motherfucker," it cracked me up because he go "motherfucker." That's what it sounded like. But at the time, everybody fucking loved that.
Everybody loved
and they
Limp
took
Bizkit.
it seriously.
Right.
Fred fucking Limp Bizkit.
Mr. Bizkit.
Mr. Bizkit was serious fucking business in the 90s. So this crowd is now they're angry because of the trash and the facilities and the fucking price gouging and there's no clean water.
Right.
And they're also fucking tired from the night before when KoRn fucked them all. And so here's Limp Bizkit, and he's coming out there.
From the debauchery at the rave.
From the debauchery at the rave. So here comes Fred Durst, and he's telling the crowd, like, take all your negative energy.
Yeah.
If you got work problems, if you got boy problems, fuck them all.
Yeah, he's like, you got problems with yourself.
Yeah, he was like, when this song kicks in, I want you to kick in.
Yeah.
So he's just egging the crowd on, you know? And it's funny because Joe Scher was like, well, Fred Durst could have calmed that crowd down, but he chose not to. So to this day, that guy still does not take responsibility for his shortcomings.
No. It's like...
Throw a dog into a pack of cats, and what are you going to do, blame the dog? So, of course, the song starts going on, and everybody starts losing it. And, like...
Let me be very honest. I don't like Fred Durst, but I do like Wes Borland.
Yeah.
I think he's a pretty good guitarist.
Yeah.
Like, if you took away Fred's rhymes and, like, his vocals and just played the music, like, the music's not bad.
It's like they were afraid of him or something. Afraid to kick him out of the band.
Right.
Well, now they start destroying the facility. The crowd does.
Yeah.
So it's like, all of a sudden, 250,000 people have turned against, like... It was like you had a small army, hostile army, just turning against you. Right. And the thing was, the corporate side of this was all about cutting corners and saving costs. So their security detail was literally just people that they gave $500 and a yellow T-shirt to. Right. This was not a security detail at
These
all.
Were teenagers from New York City that they bust up to this place in northern New York.
Yeah. So nobody was equipped to handle this, small army. The fucking LRA is here and they're fucking shit up. So there's a sound tower where they do all the mixing and everything for the main stage, and it's kind of like plopped right in the middle of this ocean of people.
Right.
And they start fucking climbing the walls to the sound tower. And it looks like fucking World War Z. Like, do you remember that scene in World War Z where all the zombies were like going up that wall? That's exactly what it fucking looked like. And they're ripping off fucking plywood and they're like tearing shit down, and like there's planks of plywood like crowd surfing like through the crowd, and there's like people standing on them.
The one dude, the famous dude that's like up on like the piece of plywood, who's like tweaking.
Yeah. He felt like the king of the world up there.
Oh, yeah.
He just, nothing in his life ever topped at that moment. So they get a piece of that plywood over to the stage, and Fred Durst jumps out on it.
Yeah,
so
and he's crowd surfing.
Now he's crowd surfing, and they're just like, "Oh, savior!" and just like worshiping fucking Fred Durst. Think in your mind, would you ever want to meet somebody who worshipped Fred Durst? No, you wouldn't. Now there's 250,000 of that person. And they're angry. So that crowd never came down from that.
No.
They didn't come down from that.
No.
And so now it's time for the rave. And that crowd moves into the rave, and you got, was it Fatboy Slim?
Yeah, Fatboy Slim.
Fatboy Slim comes out there, and he starts playing his songs and everything. And the crowd's, like, throwing shit at him.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, they see, like, lights moving through the crowd. And they're thinking, like, he said he thought it was, like, a floating dance platform. Yeah. Whatever the fuck that means. Turns out it was a truck.
Yeah.
Some high motherfucker.
Like somebody in a big van.
Yeah, some fucking guy who was zonked out of his gourd on everything. Yeah. Got in this truck
glazed
and
over.
He was driving it through the crowd. Now, I mean, he wasn't like mowing people down, but he was like, it was
very
probably
slowly.
Yeah, he probably just had it in drive and was just sitting at the seat, just kind of like slowly moving through the crowd.
I just imagine like him sitting there, and it's just like him. Like, you know how they do like the warp speed, like in Star Wars.
Yeah, it would have been like me when I did weed the first time. I thought he was going 100 miles an hour. So a not funny part of that, though.
Yeah, this part's awful.
Is that they got over there. One of the staff members got over there, and there was like a sliding door on the side of the van, and he slid the door open, and he said that he saw a young girl. He said she couldn't have been more than 15 years old.
Yeah.
She was laying there in the floor of this thing, and she had her shirt up around her shoulders and her pants down around her ankles, and there was a dude in there who was putting his pants back on.
Yeah.
So very clearly she was sexually assaulted. And I very highly doubt...
They put her in an ambulance and got her out of there, I think is what they said.
But I very highly doubt that she was the only instance of that going on at this fucking debacle.
This is fucking debauchery.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's as anarchy as it can possibly be.
Right.
And I don't know how they even managed to make it to night 3.
That, honestly, like... I had always heard that Fred Durst was the person that started the fires. Like, he got them...
Like, he himself did it?
He himself got them to start the fires and light the place on fire, and that was not the case.
No. As
much as I do not like Fred Durst, they can't put that on him.
Yeah.
And I don't think it was fair that the showrunners tried to put it on him anyway. As like, yeah, Fred Durst is he's a giant fucking douche.
He was the most believable guy to point a finger at.
Right, exactly. Yeah. It's like there's enough blame to spread here.
Yeah.
It's like, and you're not willing to take any of it.
Obviously, a good portion of that blame is on the attendees.
Yeah.
They were the ones raping each other and setting things on fire. A good portion of the blame is on them, but also maybe an equal amount of that blame is on the people who put this whole fucking thing together.
Well, it's like, if they would have taken a moment to just be like, let's look at our lineup.
Yeah.
Who are our 2 main acts?
Yeah.
It's KoRn and it's Limp Bizkit.
Yeah.
It's like, maybe we should have legitimate security here.
Yeah.
Maybe we shouldn't do a rave at night.
Yeah.
Like, maybe we shouldn't do these things, but you did them anyway.
Yeah, because you kids had to make that precious money. A bunch of greedy fucks.
Yeah. Ugh.
Even Joe Scher to this day is like, it was a great success because they made the money.
Right. And and it's
rape victims be damned. I made my money.
It's just like that whole like PR, like, oh no, it was a fantastic success. There were a few bad apples, like all this bullshit. And it's when everybody's
that
like,
Michael Lear guy or whatever, he came out. It was like 50 people acting up.
Yeah. Like, what?
What are you fucking talking about?
Yeah. Did you see the fuck line over there?
You didn't see the fuck line? How about the sacrificial fire?
Yeah.
Did you see that?
Well, and so that was the second night, right?
Yeah.
And so the third day starts.
Now, a good portion of the people had already left at this point.
Right. A lot of them woke up on the third day and they're like, we got to get the fuck out of here. But some of them didn't.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this part was particularly bad. Like the rapes and stuff were bad and all that. But they broke the water main line.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they shut it. Number one, they shut it off.
Yeah.
Because it was contaminated.
Yeah.
With shit and piss.
Yeah. Any free accessible water had shit and piss in it. Yeah.
Right. And so
people were brushing their teeth with it and bathing in it.
And so a bunch of real geniuses decided, hey, fuck that. We're going to break this water main line. And so where'd they break it?
Right next to the fucking porta potties.
Broke it right next to the porta potties. And guess what a bunch of fucking high motherfuckers did? They went and jumped in the shit and piss mud.
Yeah.
And they were covered in it.
Covered
in
to
it.
Toe.
You can find pictures today of people standing there butt-ass naked.
Yeah.
With fucking poo and pee water all over their bits.
Yeah.
All over their giblets.
And some people, have just are smattered in this feces and urine and having sex. It's just it's unthinkable.
Yeah, there was like one girl got up and she had a piece of corn on her titty.
Oh God.
Like, how did I get this peanut between my toes?
Oy.
And so there was one of the people there, or one of the people that they interviewed. So they had brought people in that they interviewed that were actually attendees at the show.
Yeah. And
one of them was this lady. I don't know. I'm assuming that that's what she would like to be called as a lady. And so she was saying that she woke up the third day and she couldn't swallow.
Yeah.
And she had sores all over her mouth.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
and she was saying that she had trench mouth.
Trench mouth.
Because of how poor the water quality was.
Yeah. Her mouth was just fucking eat up with
right.
bacteria.
And I think she said she was 15 at the time. A child.
Yeah. Trench mouth.
Yeah, trench mouth.
Like, I know about trench foot.
Yeah.
She had that in her mouth.
In her mouth. Like, that.
This is like a gangrenous disease.
Right. Like, I can't do contaminated, like, pee and, like, piss and shit water.
Yeah.
Like, I can't do it.
Like, you just don't like things that are, like, contaminated in general.
Right.
It just kind of weirds you out.
Right. I can't, like, feces. Like, I can't do feces.
Yeah, I don't do poop. Yeah, poop. Yeah.
Yeah,
no poop
like,
for me.
cleaning up, like, my own kid's shit or whatever is one thing.
But you don't want to be wallowing in feces.
Right. I just can't do it.
Yeah.
That's where I draw the line. So.
You don't like a little corn in your clam chowder?
No. And so the third day starts.
It's like, I'll reciprocate, but can you wipe that thing off?
It smells like shit down here. And so the third day starts, and the only band that I remember from that lineup at the end of the day was, I think Willie Nelson played.
He played that morning.
That morning, right? So Willie
Nelson.
People
were like waking up to Willie Nelson playing,
right.
Yeah.
So under any other circumstance, that probably would have been a great morning. You wake up, Willie Nelson's playing or whatever. And so they get through the day, and I don't know how they made it through the day without any horrible incidents.
Yeah.
And then that night, they had the Red Hot Chili Peppers come up.
Yep.
Which Red Hot Chili Peppers, they're not KoRn and they're not Limp Bizkit.
No.
Like, they're pretty tame.
Still pretty high energy.
Yeah, they're high energy, but it's different. It's different.
When they showed them, I told Mary, I said, before this documentary's over, we're going to see Flea's penis.
Oh, there it is.
And she was like, why do you say that? And I was like, aside from my own, Flea's penis is probably the one I've seen the most. She was like, why? He's always got it out.
Yeah, like, well.
Every time you see him, there's his wiener.
And then
sure
immediately,
shit,
the first thing you see.
He's just butt-ass naked on stage.
And that's kind of what he does.
But you know what? He's such a good bass player. Just let him get away with it.
Right. And so, like, I think they opened up with, like, Under the Bridge or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty popular song. And get through the set. And the fucking geniuses that have put together
their infinite wisdom.
This, like you said, this fucking debacle decided, hey, what we're going to do at the end of this is we are going to hand out candles in matches. What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah.
And so
the people at this event have demonstrated that they are not in the right headspace to be given fire.
No. And so they give them all fire.
They give them fire.
And they start lighting things on fire. They said for like a couple minutes, like there was like, you could see all the candles and everything, which I'm sure was a very nice gesture. It's very probably nice to see.
Yeah.
Right? But it didn't take long.
It was like a calm before the storm.
Right. For some fucking savage to be like, oh, and then throw it on a fucking, throw it in a trash can and light the whole fucking thing on fire. And then so like, and they're like, all of a sudden it's massive. They have this huge fucking fire.
There's this giant fire going on.
Right. And then the Red Hot Chili Peppers are like, we're out of here.
Yeah.
And so they finish up their set and they get ready to leave. And I don't remember who it was that told them, like, you need to get back out there and calm the crowd down.
Yeah. And Anthony Kiedis was like, they're not going to listen to me.
Right.
He's like, I got nothing to say these people are going to listen to.
Right. And they were like, well, you need to go out there and try. And so they wouldn't.
And what may be the ultimate act of trolling that man has ever bore witness. The Red Hot Chili Peppers go out on stage and they play Fire by Jimi Hendrix.
Oh, God. Allison at that point had fallen asleep because I was binge watching the series. And when they started that, I started laughing, and she woke up. She's like, "What's so funny?" I was like, "I'll have to tell you tomorrow because there's too much to go through." And so they start, and then all of a sudden there's like 4 or 5 more fires pop up.
Yeah.
And then there's all of a sudden it's just fucking anarchy.
It's a raging inferno.
It's a raging inferno, and they're like tearing shit down.
Yeah.
I think they had like a wall that they had built. They were like painted this big, beautiful wall with all these like peace signs and stuff on it.
They tore that shit
down. And they tore it down and
threw
it.
the wood on the fire.
Didn't give a fuck.
The staff all go on the radio and they send out like a SOS. They're like, if you're staff, just get out of here. Like, batten down the hatches is what they said. Just, like, get into the main building and just lock up. And they showed this dude who was, like, boarding up the door. Like, as if he was, like, like warding off savages, which he was. Yeah. So they turned...
It's like a damn fucking Call of Duty game when you board the windows back up so the zombies don't get in.
So they're like they had like the speaker to the sound towers with the speakers on it, like this like 25 foot tall thing with PA speakers on it.
No.
They knocked that thing down and started climbing it like fucking chimps. Yeah. And then they tore the other ones down, and then the crowd started moving back through the fairgrounds, and in the middle of the fairgrounds they had what they called the vendor village, where they were selling T-shirts and CDs and food and things like that. And so the staff got to them first and was like, "Look, just lock everything up. Put your tent flaps down, but do it in such a way that you don't incite any panic." No. Well, it didn't matter because when the crowd got there, they just fucking moved through it like fucking locusts. They tore everything down. They stole everything. They ripped everything up. Tore the
ATM machines.
Lit shit on fire. They tore open the ATM machines. And
fucking wild.
The fire spread to all the transfer truck containers. Yep. They were sitting there, and they all had propane tanks on them. Yep. So those started to explode. And then the state patrol showed up
with the National Guard.
And they were like billy clubbing people and arresting people. It was fucking anarchy.
Oh, God.
It was one of the most incredible things. It was one of the most spectacular failures I've ever seen.
For it to have been and the crazy part about it is that the reason why it was so well documented was because they fucking sold a pay-per-view for it.
Yeah.
Like, you could watch them stream it. Yeah. Pay-per-view. Like, that was streaming before streaming was ever even a thing.
Yeah. It was like $50 when you get all 3 days.
Yeah. And then, like, so that was, like, also inciting people to be like, hey, take your tits out.
Yeah.
Like,
journalists were there. MTV was there.
Right. Yeah. It's like, hey, look, we're going to film this dude jerking off in the corner. Yeah. Like, look at all the debauchery that's going on. And one thing that I did see, like, that I found to be fucking fascinating just from, like, a psychological standpoint was there was this one instance where there's, like, an MTV guy that's, like, interviewing this girl or whatever, and, like, she's standing there and she doesn't have a fucking bra on and she got, like, a thong on or whatever, and she's got, like, body paint all over her. Yeah. And she's obviously rolling on something. Yeah. And the guy's like, he's like, you're very pretty. And he, like, puts the microphone to her or whatever. And, like, all of a sudden there's, like, this swarm of men. Yeah. And they're getting real close. Real close. And, like,
they might as well be salivating over her.
Right. Yeah. And then the creepy dude that was interviewing her before, he's like, it's getting real hostile around here, guys. Yeah. Like, you need to back up.
You need to back up. Give her some space.
Yeah.
Like, it was cool when I was doing it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, ugh.
So, here's what I'm thinking. If there was a Woodstock, say, Woodstock 09, you think Buck Cherry would be there?
As much as I would hope that they wouldn't be, they probably would be.
So let's use that as a segue into our Super Cringe Thursday pick for this week.
Oh boy!
So we kind of previewed a touch of that on the last episode. So for those of you who did not see it, what we have here is, a little bit of homegrown debauchery. It's like a wedding taking place. It looks like somebody's backyard.
Yeah, it's a backyard wedding.
I don't know if it's like a venue. It doesn't look like a venue.
No. I think there's like a shed.
Yeah.
Like,
and the bride is doing her walk towards the altar.
I mean, that's what you won't call it.
Well. And the song that's playing is somebody covering Crazy Bitch by Buck Cherry.
Right.
And that song is so fucking stupid.
First of all, let me state that I might be, because I was the person that picked this out.
Yeah.
I might be a bit biased because I hate that song so fucking much. That is like the number one, there's Nickelback, there's plenty of Nickelback songs that I don't like.
A close second to that song for me is Bad Girlfriend.
Oh, by Theory of a Dead Man?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a bad one too.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just such fucking white trash.
It's so white trash.
I can't do it.
Yeah, I'm not the person this song is meant for.
I'm not your demographic.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And I hate you. I hate you. I think that you're real fucking scum.
You're selling bottled water to a drowning man here when you play this song for me.
Right.
I just don't want it.
Right.
I just don't want it, man.
Even, I remember when that song came out, I was like, ugh.
Yeah. So the thing that makes it so cringe is think about what a wedding is, right?
Yeah. It's supposed to be like this very, it's a happy time.
It's a very dignified,
but it's very dignified.
Thing.
Right.
It's supposed to be like one of the happiest.
Yeah, it's the joining of two people to create a bond, which makes them. You're supposed to become one person.
Yeah.
In a sense.
That's the idea.
Right.
So,
But not here.
Well, one thing's for sure. That dude had some great wedding night sex. Because if that's the kind of bride that he has, she laid it on him that night. I'm telling you. She might have pegged him. I don't know.
She's like, no, I'm going to fuck you. Oh, God.
Yeah, so the thing that makes it so cringe is just, what a wedding is supposed to be, and then you have this just fucking white trash bastardization of what it is. And it's like I said, I can't tell you if it's the bride singing it, like she's mic'd up and she's the one singing it, or if it's like someone off to the side singing it.
I've watched it a couple of times. First of all, the first time I watched it, I had to turn it off because I was like, I can't. There's something about it's like those people singing the ice cream shop. I have to force myself to get through something like that. I don't know what it is about people singing.
Yeah,
I just can't.
It's people being subjected to singing.
Right. There's other people involved.
Right, because there's a difference in seeing somebody who went purposefully out of their way or paid money to go see some singing.
Right, exactly. I would like to hear this person sing.
Yeah.
As opposed to you are singing and I want nothing to do with it. But I don't think that she's the person that's singing it. I think there is somebody off to the side.
Either way, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if it was her singing.
If I had to take a guess, it's probably one of her fucking friends.
Yeah.
I don't think that this person was a professional.
Well,
it certainly didn't sound like it.
It didn't sound like it, no. Can you sing that song well?
If I had to take a guess, I would say probably what happened. This lady has the skunk hair. She has the skunk hair with the extensions and everything.
Oh, yeah.
As they tend to do.
The hot pink stripe.
Right. I'm assuming that this lady probably exposes her body for money.
You think so?
I would take a guess.
Yeah.
I don't know what else she would do.
You don't think she has a clerical job?
No. I don't think that she has a profession. I think she's riding this thing out for as long as it'll go.
Yeah.
Chances are, I'm going to go out on a limb here, I would say that this individual probably works at some type of establishment where she exposes her body for money.
Yeah.
And chances are that she probably talked one of her friends that works at this said place into probably singing that song for her. She probably went, her friend's name is probably like Stacy or like Vanessa or something like that. And she's like...
Cinnamon.
Yeah, Cinnamon. She's probably like, you know what?
You know what would be perfect for my wedding?
Perfect for my wedding. And I've heard this bitch sing this song. I guarantee you. She was like, that'll be perfect. Fantastic. Let's do that.
You've never had a better idea.
Yeah.
Not once in your whole life.
Exactly.
I wonder if like the husband like... I feel like that's the one thing that got through, right? He probably had to turn down a few other ideas, like maybe having the mechanical bull at the wedding. He let her have that one.
Did you see the husband?
I don't know if I did.
Okay, so she walks down the aisle. And she's like gyrating and all that stuff. She's doing like the whole like. White trash, like stick your leg out real far and
like, basically doing a hoedown.
Yeah, doing a hoedown. And so, like, as she's walking down the aisle, like we'll get to the husband here in a second because there's a lot going on in this video.
There's a lot packed into this video.
There's a gentleman standing there, and he's got on like a nice polo and some slacks and a belt and everything. Yeah. And his son is standing directly behind him. His son doesn't look like he could be any more than maybe 9
years old.
9 or 10 years old.
Yeah.
This child has probably never heard this song
before. A young boy.
Yeah. And the song gets... First of all, I'm assuming that this was not a family member. Because if this was a family member, he would know better.
He would know better than to go to that function.
Exactly. So I'm assuming that this is probably like a family friend that kind of knows somebody. Yeah. And that he brought his son, not knowing really who these people are.
Yeah. It'd be like, cousin Anna Lynn's getting married? I ain't going to that.
Yeah. And so, like, she gets started singing, and she's getting it.
It's not the censored version.
No, it isn't. It's not the butt rock station version. And you see him, like, turn around. He, like, looks at his kid.
Yeah.
And he whispers something to his son, like, hey, like, we're going to have a talk about this when we get in the car later.
He turns around and he goes, ooh. You see him make that face. And he, like, puts his hand on, like, his son's ear and just kind of holds his other ear, like, to his side, like, trying to keep him from hearing it.
And
you know, the thing is, though, when kids can tell when you're trying to block them off from something.
Yeah.
And that makes them extra vigilant.
Right.
They're like, wait, what is it? What am I not supposed to be exposed to? Yeah.
So I don't know if you saw this part, but as she continues to walk down, so this whole scene's going on with his dad trying to like shelter his child from this cringe that's happening. Yeah. And so as she walks down, there's like a lady standing there with a baby. And she's like shaking this baby back and forth because she's dancing to this awful singing, to this awful song.
For awful people.
Yeah, for awful people. And so the lady finally gets to like the altar. This fucking god-awful altar. And so she like shows up and she's like gyrating in front of her husband.
Yeah.
And like the husband and all of his groomsmen are wearing tuxes and they have purple bandanas around their heads and they're all wearing sunglasses. Like they're on fucking Rock of Love. And he does this number because he's dancing with her.
Yeah.
So no, I don't. If I had to, I don't think it got by him at all. I think he signed off on it.
It may have been his idea, after all.
Yeah.
That video is like, it looks like Mountain Dew. It looks like Mountain Dew and it smells like Marble Reds. It's just the most white trash fucking thing I've ever seen.
Right.
And I've seen
some
pretty
trashy shit.
Yeah. I've been exposed to some of it. I've been a part of some of it.
Yeah.
Not ashamed to say. But that was something else. But you know what? Congratulations to the happy couple.
Hey.
Yes. Absolutely. Congratulations to you. Two like-minded people coming together in holy matrimony. Yep. What more could you ask for?
You know what? Maybe they'll go the distance.
Maybe.
Maybe the debauchery is just
will not end with them. It'll pass on to future generations.
It's just such that it works out.
Yeah. I mean, maybe it's no different than seeing like a traditional Indian wedding. It just doesn't look like anything that I've ever been exposed to. Like a dude rides in on a gilded elephant. Yeah. That looks strange to me.
Like, hey, man, at white trash weddings, people just sing Crazy Bitch by Buckcherry. That's the thing that happens. I could just imagine, like, she pulled up, like, in an El Camino.
No. Not an El Camino. I think she pulled up in a Jeep Grand Cherokee with the doors taken off. Because it's a Jeep. You're right.
They've like put the mud tires on there. Yeah.
We worked with a girl who literally did that. She had a Jeep Grand Cherokee and took the doors off of it. Yeah. It's not a Jeep Wrangler with removable doors.
This is like a legitimate SUV.
Yeah, it looks like it was in a wreck when you take the doors off of a Jeep Grand Cherokee.
Dumbass. Like there's power windows there.
Yeah, it's like electrical wires running to this thing.
Cut them?
It's like these live wires flapping in the wind.
Just take like an electrical nut and put it on there. Like these like orange electrical nuts just waving in the wind.
We so one of Mary's friends got a oh gosh, I can't remember what kind of doodle he is. She got a doodle puppy. Mm-hmm. Probably about a year or so after we got Lex and Lola. And I want to say that they got him probably like a week before they had to go somewhere.
Yeah.
So we were, of course, like, hey, we'll watch him. It's no big deal. And underneath my front porch out here, there was someone that had the great idea to run like some like 120 wire out of the front wall of the house to an outlet that's underneath the stairs. It's just like an electrical cord that they ran to there, and they stripped the wires back and plugged it into an electrical outlet. So it's just live wire.
Very DIY.
Very DIY. So she came by and she dropped the dog off, and I think I was still in bed at the time. But Mary was outside with the puppy and trying to get it to, go potty before it came in the house and everything. And it goes underneath the front porch, and the first thing it does is it bites into that fucking cord, and it goes, and thankfully the dog was unharmed. But we didn't tell Mary's friend that happened until like 2 years after the fact. But it like tripped a bunch of breakers, and like it was just like. It was just so it was just an exposed wire for the longest time.
No.
So when I got out here a couple months back and I was spreading that mulch, when I dug up all that weeds and shit, and spreading the mulch, I got up underneath the house, underneath the front porch, and that live wire was there. It was just exposed from where the dog bit it. And I grabbed it, and like I went to pull on it. But, like, the sheeting came back instead of the whole wire. Yeah. So then, like, so now more of the wire is exposed. Yeah. And I went, uh-oh. And I thought that I could, like, push the sheeting back. But all I did was reach up and touch it. And it popped the living fuck out of me. And flipped the breakers. So, like, this is going to be the first that Mary knows of it when she listens to this. But it shocked the motherfuck out of me. And, like, it was just straight. It was the first time I'd ever been shocked. Now,
I've been shocked quite many times.
But, like, for a second, I was, like, dazed by it.
Yeah.
And, like, I was like, did I die? Because, like, everything, I felt it move through my whole body. Yeah. It was the strangest feeling.
It's an odd feeling, isn't it?
It is really, really, really weird. So, I mean, I couldn't imagine people that get, like, electrocuted to death.
Wild. You're in for a wild ride.
What a fucking way to go. It's like, did you ever see that that warning sign that was like, danger, high voltage? It was like, not only will this kill you, it'll hurt the entire time you're dying. I fully believe that.
I think the first time I ever got electrocuted was we were changing out the lights for, like, the outside lights for for Christmas, and there was like a bulb was broken, and it was like arcing across like the two prongs or whatever for the diode. And Dad said, "Hey, touch that." And I went and touched it, and it shocked me, like it popped me. I was like, "Ah."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Why the fuck did you do that?"
It's like, you told me to.
And so like maybe a year later, I was doing the same thing. I was out there messing with the lights, and so, but genius me, I had the lights plugged in.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, and I found the one. I had a butter knife, and I went to go like take the light out to replace it.
Yeah.
And I guess the butter knife was like touching like the connector, and like. It was this crazy. It was a crazy feeling.
Yeah.
And to this day, I will never forget.
There's nothing like it.
Yeah. Like, my hand just went like that and, like, seized up. And I was like, what the fuck? And, like, I took my hand away, and I was like, did I, like, have a cramp or something? Like, it didn't register to me, like, what was going on.
Yeah.
And, like, I was like, odd. So, and then I did it again. And my arm did like that, and I was like, oh, fuck, I'm being shocked. And then the next time I got shocked was I was on the ship that I was attached to, my first one, and the shop that we were in. The crazy thing about a ship is that you got to ground it somewhere.
Yeah,
like you're in you're in water.
Yeah, so, you're on a boat.
Yeah, you're on a
boat made of metal in the water.
And so, like, there was somehow or another we had there was a light that was like underneath the top part of the workbench that we had. And so I came in and I was talking to the dude that was my work center supervisor, and I had like leaned up on the bench, and like I felt like my arm kind of like tingle or whatever, and like kind of shook, and I was like, what the fuck? And I was like, there's no way I'm getting shocked because it's painted. There's no way. And I was like, how odd. And so I was like, and put
just
my arm,
to make sure.
I put my arm, and it fucking happened again.
Yeah.
And I was like, is this thing not fucking grounded? I was like, how in the world? And there was like just this tiny little bit where the corner of the bench came together.
Yeah. Where
there was no paint. It was just bare metal. And I told him, I said, Willie, I was like, have you ever been shocked by this bench before? He's like, yeah, it happens all the time.
Yeah, no big deal. It's like, God forbid there ever be a bit of a larger charge running through this thing.
Well, I know that down in what they called CSE 1, which is where they had all the communications gear and everything.
Yeah.
Down there, they had, there was a live wire that ran down there. It was 10,000 volts.
Fuck.
Yeah, and like it was one of those deals. Like there was like there's a barrier between, like, because they had these large grounding cables like on the bottom of it, and if you went down there and fucked around, it'd reach out and touch you. Like it would arc out and touch you.
Oof.
So
that's crazy that it can jump to you.
Yeah,
like
we
that.
had people that had gotten hit by it before. Ooh. Just fucking around down there. And like all of a sudden it's like that.
Think about people that like have been struck by lightning, because that has happened.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Have you ever seen like they call it a Lichtenberg scar?
Mm-mm.
Where when people who get struck by lightning, like their skin, so the charge travels through their skin and disperses.
Mm-hmm.
And like they'll have these crazy looking scars on their bodies where it just fried fucking everything wherever that charge went through. No. And it looks like branching paths. Like
that's so nuts.
Going like on their skin or whatever.
Yeah. It's essentially following your blood vessels.
I don't know if it's your blood vessels. I think it's your nervous system.
Is it?
I think so, because it's going to travel through whatever offers the least resistance.
Right. I would just assume blood, since it's essentially liquid.
Well, yeah, but your nervous system is like a wire.
That's true. That is true.
But, yeah, but being shocked is like, it's like a danger that we created for ourselves.
Yeah, like that's not something that naturally happens.
Aside from being struck by lightning, which most oftentimes you don't survive.
Right. Cavemen very quickly figured out, hey, I shouldn't be outside during a storm.
Yeah.
When there's lightning about.
Yeah. How fucking scary must that have been? Like, without knowing what it was.
Yeah, you'd be like the first caveman, that saw somebody get hit by lightning.
He like witnessed it. He probably dropped to his knees and was like, oh, praising whatever.
And like people wonder why there's so many like ancient religions where like the gods are just angry.
Yeah, well, based on everything they had to go off of.
Life is pain. I mean, everything back then hurt.
That was an astute assumption. It's like, yeah, you know, it's like sometimes you forget just like how powerful nature is.
Yeah.
Like
until it's looking at you.
Yeah, until you're facing it down.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, you know, you've been in your house like during a lightning storm and like you can hear like a couple of loud crashes, but if you ever have like a lightning bolt hit like, I don't know, your next door neighbor's house.
We had one hit the tree next to our house.
Is there anything louder than that?
No, it's really loud. Well, I mean, being on ship, there's some the guns and stuff are pretty loud.
Well, yeah, but in your house,
yeah, in my house, I'm not expecting. Like, I don't have like a sea whiz on top of my house.
Yeah, you can't be prepared for something like that.
Yeah.
So like a particularly loud lightning strike sends like a very primal fear through you.
You're like, ooh, ooh.
Yeah, you like drop to all fours.
You're like the SpongeBob.
Yeah, where they go back in time. Yeah, we had a storm that came through the other night, and it's been storming a lot recently. But when it's, you know, summertime, you get those random
the evening showers,
those random storms that come through, and they're like fucking really intense, and then they kind of dissipate real quick. But we had one come through the other night, and I'm a heavy sleeper. Like I can sleep through the end of the world.
Yeah.
But we had one lightning strike that was particularly close. It must have hit like a raccoon that was trying to get in our trash because it was fucking close.
Yeah.
And it woke like everybody in the bed up, like me, Mary, both dogs. And it was just like, it went from like just peaceful sleep to like everyone involved was in panic mode.
Yeah, lightning is scary.
It is scary.
It's something I don't fuck with.
Well, no, because it's
like if I hear lightning, I'm like, nope, going inside. I'm not.
It's like we were talking about people getting hit by lightning and shit. I mean, it's really not something that number one, it doesn't happen all the time, thank God. But like the people that have been hit by lightning, there have been people who have survived it, and they're usually terribly disfigured afterwards. Yeah. Like the bottoms of their feet blew off.
Because it's got to go somewhere.
It's got to go somewhere. It has to wind up somewhere.
Right. It's not just going to stay in you.
You know, but you don't become like a superhero powered by lightning.
Right.
You become a blown fuse is what you are.
Isn't there a guy that has been struck by lightning? I don't know if he's still alive, but I think he'd been struck by lightning like 9 times or something. Yeah, there was some dude that had been struck like a bunch of times.
Wow. That's
like
as far as bad luck goes.
Yeah. Number one, at what point are you like, hey, it's getting ready to rain, I'm gonna go inside?
Yeah. Yeah, just like constantly looking at the weather app.
Yeah. I think this was like way back in the day. I think it was during like the early 1900s.
As soon as there's like a cloud, he's like, I'm out of here.
Yeah, I'm out of here.
Gone, bye. Yeah. I don't know, man. Nature is fucking scary because it's one of those things like, you know, number one, nature will always take back over. Like once we're all dead, everybody's gone, nature's coming.
Right.
And nothing's going to stop it. And, you know, aside from the slow burn of like vegetation overgrowth and things like that, there's lightning and there's fucking earthquakes and there's fucking
volcanoes,
sinkholes. And don't even get me started on volcanoes because volcanoes are one of the few like phobias that I have.
Like the Yellowstone caldera.
I try not to think about that. Now, Yellowstone's bad news for the whole world.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't really know where this fear stemmed from, but it's like I have really two big fears. It's wide open, dark spaces, so like the opposite of claustrophobia, and volcanoes. And me and Mary we're going to Italy at the end of the year, and we were looking at places to take like day trips to. Like we go up north, we go to Venice.
Yeah.
And they have like the hyper rails and stuff you can get from town to town pretty quickly. Or we go down to Pompeii, and something really bad happened to Pompeii some few years ago. But the Amalfi Coast is down there, and that's a really like romantic thing. So I was like, well, Mount Vesuvius is like 5 feet away from.
It's right there.
It's like right there. These people built Pompeii at the foot of this fucking volcano.
Everybody went, how nice.
Yeah, look at that big mountain.
Yeah.
So like, I was like, well, surely Mount Vesuvius is probably dead. And so like I Googled it, and it was like, oh, Mount Vesuvius is like going to have a catastrophic eruption any day now. And I was like, well, what are the odds that it happens to be while I'm there? And
you're not going to be able to enjoy anything while you're there. You're just going to be staring at it the whole time.
I'm just like, I just can imagine going there and going to see like the plaster people, like the bodies from Pompeii.
Yeah. I've heard some of them are some pretty compromising positions.
Well, I don't care what anybody says. That dude was beating it. That dude was punching his munchkin when Mount Vesuvius erupted. They're like, oh, it's the pyroclastic flow caused his body to seize up. I was like,
what, with his wiener in his hand?
With his wiener in his hand?
He's like, one last one before I go.
Once more, old boy. It's like I'm gonna try and beat it before he gets here.
He's bracing against the clock.
The ultimate sexual thrill. Seeing imminent death barreling towards you down a mountain, and you're just standing there. People are running away screaming. You're
just so
defiantly.
Just a fucking degenerate in the middle of the street.
Come, O death, come as I do.
It's basically, you're like, ah! Oh god!
In case anybody doesn't know what we're talking about, in Pompeii, Italy, when Mount Vesuvius erupted. Pompeii is very close to Mount Vesuvius.
Yeah,
I mean it's
like at the base of the mountain.
It's at the base of the mountain. So like when it erupted, you hear about pyroclastic flow. Basically, that's like boiling hot ash that's rolling down the mountain.
Yeah, and
they said, they thought that some of those people might have died from like asphyxiation from the ash and everything, which some of them probably did, but they think that what it was now. Was the actual heat caused them? It basically like flash fried these people.
What a fucking way to go!
And a lot of them, you'll see a lot of. So you can look it up on Google Images and whatever. They're called plaster people. Some of them are like recreations, and some of them are like the original bodies that are still preserved because when they died, that ash settled around them and basically was cemented them in place. There's one guy who is laying on his back, and he's got his legs out. And I'm telling you, that dude was jerking off. And they're like, no, his body just convulsed. I don't buy that. That man had his wee-wee in his hands when death came for him. We should all be so lucky, to be entirely honest. But it's such a crazy thing. I mean, what a fucking way to go. Just
Ugh.
And they're like, oh, there's a lot of them probably died instantly.
No.
I don't buy that.
You felt it.
Those people suffered
a
great deal before they died.
Exactly. You're encased in this. You're getting fucking air fried.
Yeah. Oh, God.
You might as well be stuck inside a fucking Instapot.
Yeah. Yeah, really.
And it's like being pressure cooked.
Yeah. It's unfair is what it is.
Yeah.
It's like when I think about it, I think that's what I don't like about volcanoes so much is how unfair it is.
Yeah.
Because like you can't, if you're close enough to see it, it's like a fucking nuclear bomb, right? If you're close enough, there's no getting away. Like you might have time to run before it gets you, but then you're just tired when you die.
Right.
Like it's really
right. You're not gonna like jump on a horse and somebody's gonna be singing day-day-do, day-do.
Yeah.
Like it's not gonna happen.
You're not gonna
You're gonna be fucked and everybody's gonna be screaming.
Yeah. There's just gonna be panic. Everybody's gonna be dying this horrible death, and you will join them. And then they're like, oh well, some of these people, they're right here next to the coast. They have just jumped in the water. And they're like, well, some of them did, and they got boiled.
Yeah, because it's not like, I don't know, massive like lava rocks flying into the water, superheating it.
Yeah. So you've got that.
You get boiled like a fucking lobster.
Yeah. There's just... And the worst part about it is it's not instantaneous either. No. It's like it erupted, they saw it, and then they experienced all the hell that came with it.
Yep.
It's just not fair.
No.
Like if something's going to kill me, I want it to be my fault that I died.
Right.
I don't want, you know what I mean? Like think about everything's like that. Fucking earthquakes. If you have a particularly bad earthquake, so open up a fissure in the ground.
Yeah, and you
fall down into
the depths of the earth.
The depths of the earth, down between two tectonic plates.
Yeah, and then they squeeze back together.
Oh my God.
And you get smushed.
Yeah. Sinkholes freak me out. Because I don't like the idea that the earth can just give way underneath me and I fall into an 80,000 foot deep hole, never to be seen again. Like that one that happened in the middle of Japan, like in the middle of that intersection. Did you ever see that picture?
Yeah, it's fucking terrifying.
That fucking thing is a void.
Terrifying.
It just opened up in the middle of the day. What do you do about that?
Like there's going to be some type of fucking kaiju come up out of it.
Yeah. This fucking tentacle beast come up out of it. Start destroying the city.
Yeah.
It's like the best thing you can do is just walk around with a jetpack.
Really? I mean, what else are you supposed to do?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the Earth is a fucking terrifying place. It's like Marianas Trench.
Mm-hmm.
It's like miles and miles down into the fucking hellscape.
Yeah.
That is
the deep ocean.
The deep.
And the fact that there's things living down there, like those volcanic snails.
Oh, that live near the vents.
That live near the sulfur vents.
Yeah.
Where the water is like 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
And then, of course, they have the pressure of the entire ocean pressing down on them. And they're just like, it's fucking Monday.
Or like a fucking anglerfish.
Why is everything in the bottom of the ocean so goddamn terrifying looking?
Yeah, everything. All of it.
It's like there's nothing down there that looks remotely normal.
No.
It's all fucking
bizarre. That's because it's a different world. That's not the same Earth that we live on.
No.
Not even remotely close.
And it's not because we don't see them often. They genuinely look like aliens.
Yes.
Because like the fish that's up near us, yeah, I mean, there's nothing on land that looks like a fish. But the fish, they look like they belong here.
They're like, yeah, I could see where that might be something that I might encounter.
Yeah. But an anglerfish?
Was sort of like, was it a goblin shark?
Yeah.
You ever seen a goblin shark before?
Is that the one that's got like the weird like bottom lip thing?
There's like a Greenland shark, and I think there's a goblin. I think a goblin shark is the one that like its mouth like extends.
Oh yeah.
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 What the fuck? What the fuck is that? What is that?
Yeah.
What is it? Like a hammerhead. You're like, that's a weird looking shark. It's like, but I don't want fucking the thing from Alien.
Yeah.
Like the tongue thing coming out and grabbing my ass.
Yeah.
Like, no, I don't want no part of it. Like, Kill them all.
It's like, did you see? They had that camera footage. I forget what they were working on. Some kind of some deep sea installation or whatever.
I don't know when they do the maintenance on the
was it the fiber optic lines?
The fiber optic lines.
It may have been that, but there was like this squid thing floating around down
Terrifying.
there, and I don't know. It looked like the thing that was so weird about that particular squid is because it, like the body of it is like a ball,
yeah,
and then there's like this cylinder coming off the bottom of it, and then it's got these like really rigid like arms that stick out at a 90-degree angle.
Ugh.
And like these long tendrils that hang like 10 feet long off the bottom of that. And they're like, oh, this thing feeds by dragging those tendrils along the ground.
No, it doesn't.
And then it just grabs whatever it touches and pulls it up and it eats it.
Ugh.
But that thing looks so fucking weird because you don't see 90-degree angles in nature.
No.
That's something that we do.
Yeah.
For you know,
aesthetics.
Aesthetics. That thing, it looks like a marionette is what it looks like. Why?
And and then people like to poo-poo on like old sailor stories and stuff of like
the Kraken.
Yeah, the Kraken. It's like, well, you know what? If a giant, and like the ships that they were on weren't as big as the ships we have today. They were a mite bit smaller.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
they were bullied by the ocean.
Yeah. If you were on this floating piece of wood in the middle of the ocean with
tub,
and you've got fucking scurvy because you haven't had any vitamin C in months.
Yeah.
It's like, and then all of a sudden you just happen to be by a fucking giant squid that comes up and wraps a fucking tentacle up on the thing. You're like, oh my God, what the fuck is that? What is that? And you're over there whacking it with a sword.
Yeah. Hitting it with an oar.
Yeah, hitting it with an oar. Somebody fires a fucking flintlock pistol into the water.
Some poor guy gets grabbed by it. Down into the depths.
Yeah, you get the fucking Cookie out there, the dude that's like makes all your meals gets drug over to the side.
Yeah. What a fucking nightmare realm.
The only other worst possible time to be alive other than colonial America was during that time when people were sailing the high seas like that.
On those damn boats.
Yeah. It's like I would rather be in any time other than that time. I want
I wonder if the mics picked that up.
I want no part of it. I want no part of it.
None of it. And I tell you what, I was so actually, as a matter of fact, Mary and I just watched all 5 Pirates of the Caribbean movies.
Yeah.
And I was talking to her about scurvy, and she was like, "Well, what does scurvy do?" And I was like, I don't really know what it does. I just know it's like a terrible disease you get when you don't have any vitamin C. And so I looked into it, and it was like all your like mucous membranes. So think like your eyes and your inside of your nose and your mouth. All that dries up and cracks and chaps and bleeds, and your gums recess and your teeth fall out, and then your gums deteriorate and they fall out. So you don't have any gums anymore. And then the worst part about scurvy is that old wounds that have once healed open back up. Like scar tissue goes away.
That's so crazy that just a lack of a certain type of vitamin will do that.
Cause you to turn into soup.
Yeah. You just rot away.
This is a very delicate thing that we have, our bodies.
Well, it's sort of like, have you ever watched the, I think you have, the Chernobyl docuseries?
Yeah, we've talked about it a few times. Yeah.
Where the dude just turns to soup in that bed.
He turns into like a man made out of jelly.
Yeah. He like turns into a blobfish.
Yeah. Why are you keeping this man alive?
Yeah.
It is ethically and morally bankrupt to keep this man alive.
Yeah. Shoot him in the head.
Kill that man.
Shoot him in the head and be done with it. What the fuck are you doing? Like I can't imagine. I cannot possibly imagine what it would be like to just deteriorate at a cellular a level your DNA is just falling apart.
Yeah, your DNA can't even hold itself together anymore.
It's just unraveling.
Ugh. People have died some horrible fucking ways.
Yeah. That dude just went over and poked his head over the side.
That was it.
All this fucking plutonium just right up the nostrils.
It's like in the event that there's like a nuclear bomb going off, I want to be right under that.
Run
thing.
towards it.
Yeah, I want to be the person that dies inside of the miniature sun that exists for half a second.
Yeah,
I want to be that guy. I don't want to be the guy that's 300 miles away and gets a lethal dose of radiation.
No,
and then dies of fucking existence cancer.
Yeah, no, thank you. Yeah, I think really the most terrifying thing to me is the idea, and I think I might have already brought this up on the podcast at one time, is the idea of spaghettification.
Oh yeah, being sucked into a black hole.
Yeah,
yeah.
And essentially, like, you know how like they say that like time slows down.
Yeah, so like the closer you get, the slower it gets.
Essentially, you're being ripped apart at a cellular level,
for eternity,
at an atomic level, but you can never die.
Yeah. You're experiencing this death,
this hell
for eternity.
Yeah. And the only thing I can think is it had to have happened to something at one point.
Something out there experienced that. Yep. Something is still experiencing that when you consider how that all works.
Well, I mean, if you're talking about a black hole, it's like, well, what happens when a black hole collapses in on itself? When is it done?
Yeah. You'll never know.
When is it done being a black hole?
Yeah. If time has stretched into an infinite plane, you'll never see the end of it.
Because, I mean, the way that we operate, there's a start and there's a beginning and an end to everything.
Yeah.
So
this storm would be perfect for our October spooky episode.
It would, wouldn't it?
I really hope the mics are kind of picking that up. Because we're talking about horrible deaths and like there's like lightning going on out there.
And some creepypasta stuff.
Yeah. Right before we get out of here, since we talked about cancer for a second, can we just touch on that guy on Reddit who was tearing the tumor off his head?
Oh, God. It looked like a piece of raw chicken.
It looked like a chewed up piece of bubble gum.
Ugh.
So I was browsing Reddit the other day looking for cringe things. And I just came across this post where this dude was like, I picked this off of my head. It was getting in the way while I was trying to comb. And it looks like a chewed up piece of bubble gum. It's a fucking tumor.
It's a tumor.
And he ripped it off of his head.
Didn't you say he'd done it a
I
time
was
or two
reading
before?
the comments, and he was like, people were like telling him, you take that to a doctor and get that biopsy.
Immediately.
Right now. Not tomorrow, now. And the guy was like, oh, well, like, it comes back like every year, and I just tear it off.
Ugh.
Just fucking bleeding from the top of his head. Just fucking get that out of here.
What a fucking animal. What an animal. I would imagine that this is probably a single man. I don't think that he probably has a lady in his life.
You know what? You shouldn't need a woman to tell you not to rip a tumor off your head. You should know to not do that by yourself.
Well, the fact that he's done it before.
Somebody in the comments was like, it was like the Virgin versus the Chad memes. It was like the Virgin cancer treatment versus the Chad tumor ripper.
Oh, God.
Well, I think that's about all we got time for today, folks. Sorry we went on for so long about Woodstock 99, but my God, it was just... I was glued to the TV watching that.
Where does it... I can't remember where I saw... Somebody had mentioned it in like a YouTube video or something I was watching.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? That sounds really familiar. Like, I think that I had heard that was a debacle.
Yeah.
Where
was it?
I went and found it on Netflix, and I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
This is really bad.
Yeah, so it's currently on Netflix, and you got to go watch it.
You have to go watch it.
So good. But yeah, thank you everybody for listening. We hope that you enjoyed. If you have any issue, if you've taken issue with anything that we've said on the podcast, feel free to reach out to us and give us a correction. We'll read it on the podcast here at the end of the podcast on a new segment we have called I'm Sorry. We've had a couple of those come in. I really like it. It's like good engagement with the audience there.
I do too. Do we have any for this week, or are we free?
I think we got off scot-free.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
Yeah, we also still have some stickers left over. If you guys want stickers, just reach out to us and we'll get those to you. Do you have anything you'd like to close with?
Not really that I can think of. Just thank you for the continued support. Hope we didn't bore you too much with like you said, with the Woodstock talk. Just let us know how we're doing. Let us know what your favorite butt rock song is or butt rock band is.
If you have anything you'd like us to talk about,
let us talk about.
I'm sure we can dive into almost anything.
Right. I'd like to do some more like engagement with the audience and everything. I think that would be good.
Yeah. And on the topic of continued support, we are getting close to 2,500 downloads.
Yes, very close.
Which is fucking nuts.
Amazing.
I wouldn't have thought when we started this thing 2 years ago that we would have got 200 downloads.
Yeah. Number one, that we would still be doing this.
Yeah, 2 years later. Yeah. All right. Thanks again, everybody. Goodbye. Bye.
Let's play ball, it's game day. We want strikeouts, base hits, double plays. Take the field, hear the roar.